been made by David Ike, seconded by Perry. Anybody got any questions?
Can you read the motion? I didn't hear it.
The motion to approve contract with SMA for the continued monitoring of the Old Pine Settlement property.
Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Okay. Update on Bingham. Mike?
Mr. Sims, thank you. So had a statement, I'm just going to go through that. As a brief update to the Bingham apartment situation, because the pending litigation, we're limited in what we can convey publicly, but I can report, as instructed by the commission, that a lawsuit was filed on behalf of the commission and Anderson City Utilities against PR Bingham and against Gary Plitka. An attorney has entered their appearance on behalf of PR Bingham and Mr. Plitka. They have requested the court grant an enlargement of time to answer the complaint. That's pretty standard. So that enlargement has been granted until August 28th. What the lawsuit is seeking is payment of total bond proceeds of $935,000 that were approved earlier by the ARC and the City Council. We're also seeking repayment of utility bills owed by Bingham to the city. Now, this doesn't apply to Madison. That's a separate matter. And that amount is just a little bit, somewhere at $700,000. As you know, the city has allowed utilities to remain on in the occupied units rather than cause the tenants to be displaced. As part of this, we have requested that the mortgage that secures the TIF bonds be foreclosed. We have also requested that the court appoint a receiver. Receiver could help implement the proper management of the company pending the completion of the lawsuit. The suit has increased the activity surrounding the property about the possible sale of the real estate to a new investor. There have been in the past multiple investors who have shown an interest in the property. I learned yesterday that one investor group has made a written offer to purchase the property. We expect to have more information within a short period of time. While we hope a new qualified investor will take over the property and bring the property up to the standards we expect, we will still pursue the lawsuit and use the legal process to encourage a resolution of the lawsuit. So what we're hoping at this point is to meet with the ARC in the near future in executive session to discuss the litigation and discuss strategy involving the possible sale of the Bingham property, and also that may involve sale of the Madison property as well. So that is the update. Thank you.
Do we have jurisdiction for that utility bill based upon the bond that we had with Bingham?
It's really a separate issue. It's really a separate count. And the complaint has one count for foreclosure of the mortgage and then a totally separate account for the utilities. So that's the way it's written is this is the ARC actually acting on behalf of the city to collect utilities. And then what the city's done at the same time, the mayor's instructed the city attorney, as Paul Podleski, to go ahead and file a suit for the Madison utilities as well. So we're seeking both.
Oh, so
But they're separate lawsuits.
Separate lawsuits.
Because we haven't been
No, I'm going to clarify the question. Someone gives Gary Plitka personally signed the liability for the Madison Corporation.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be a point of debate, but David's made a good point. So, we have looked at the document, the agreement he signed when the utilities were turned on, and so there's an argument there that it's not just PR Bingham that has liability, but Mr. Plitka individually.
Have you found him?
Yes, sir. Was attorney.
Yeah, we sent papers to his attorney.
He's not like.
She has entered her appearance of a lawsuit. So he is subject to he and his company are subject to the lawsuit.
People from
Get
Bingham.
some money back
How
from
much would it
city
take for
for
you?
attorney fees.
How much
We have, that's my.
would it take for you to
All right.
relocate people?
So that's really, even the problem with litigation, you start talking about it publicly, it can backfire. Things that are said here today could be used against us. So that's why you want to talk about litigation. Some general overview is fine, but details we need to talk about in executive session.
Yes, I have a question. I know this doesn't have anything to do with the actual litigation, but there are still a few residents out there. What can this body do out of the money that you have to help relocate those people? I mean, it's not for me. I've been talking to Kim, and she's part of the administration. What can you work out with?
I had several conversations with Kim. There's nothing this body can do.
Yeah.
I just had a conversation with Kim last week or the week before, where I specifically asked if we could relocate the entire group that's still there somewhere else. What would that cost? Until I know what that is, I can't do anything. But I did specifically ask that.
Why you can't do anything? Why this body can't do
They
anything?
tip money on
Yeah.
Well, what other monies do you have?
it. If I know what it is, then I can tell you that.
We don't know what the cost is, we don't know how many people are still there. So we are looking to find that out.
Last count we had was 17 grand.
But I'm talking about money
I
now.
understand. Until we know
What
the cost is.
what funds do you have available? I mean, you have funds to cut grass.
I deal with budget all the time. If I know how much I'm talking about, then I know what funds I can get it out of. If I can get it out of.
Can we,
If I don't know.
you have an
then
idea,
again.
Kim, what it takes to get that done, give us a.
It's just not that easy.
Okay.
I mean, I can tell you,
Estimate.
Part of the problem. It's not that easy.
there's singles out there,
Yep.
there's families out there. All those costs are different. You know, it's costing us about $2,700 to $3,000 to turn a unit to get ready for a family. That's not including security deposits. So that's about $3,000 for a small apartment in Westville. Then it's almost $5,000 to turn a 3-bedroom house. There's people out there with needs for that. If they go into the private sector, because we're not going to we don't have enough housing in our portfolio for everybody. If they go into the private sector, that's a whole different ballgame there. So I'm keeping record of my costs. Anybody I move, we're going to have a record of it so that we could try to get some funds, because I don't have an allowance in my budget for people that are not on our program. Though we've been willing to help the situation, but it's kind of tough when we already have our own waiting list for people that have similar needs. I don't know how many people are out there, so it's hard to give you a concrete figure. But even if there was some funds that I could draw from with receipts and things like that, like a not to exceed fund or an amount would be helpful.
Yes, yes.
So, Mike, any sale of Bingham has to be approved by this body.
That is correct.
Yep.
We want our money back when our utilities paid.
I have a question, Mike. We were listed as a defendant for our lien. Once this is resolved, is that part of will that be part of the payout? Because this is against us. although
Yeah,
we-
well, and the only reason Kim asked is because the Anderson Housing Authority had filed a suit
Yes.
against Bingham and got a judgment, so that when that judgment is approved by the court, it becomes a lien on the real estate. So whenever there's a foreclosure, you've got to name any lien holder as a defendant, and all that does, that's not,
Yeah, I
it
understand.
can still collect your
Yeah.
judgment, but it's a matter of getting clear title to any buyer who buys a foreclosure. You gotta name anybody that's a lien holder. So that's just kind of a routine thing.
Wait a minute, you didn't get an answer to your question, did you not? Did you?
I don't, it wasn't acceptable, whatever it was, but I got another question.
Okay.
Is this body a lien holder on that property out there?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it true that being a lien holder, you have an interest in that property when you get to a point like this? What I'm getting at is there is maintenance that needs to be done now. The grass, the trash, and I don't know what the deal is with the water, but there are things that need to be taken care of now, either through the Redevelopment Commission or the city or somewhere. I'm talking about human beings now. I'm not talking about
Well, I
litigation.
understand that.
But what can we do now as a lien holder, as somebody that has an interest in that while you litigate it? You cut grass, and you give out how much contracts did you give out cutting grass last time I was in here? Was it $1 million worth of grass cutting, or?
Not quite a million.
Yeah, and that was for city-owned, that was for
city-owned.
city-owned land. See,
Well, you have a lien on that land, so
We
you're
don't-
kind of like,
yeah, we don't own this.
but I know, but you have an interest in it, right, correct?
Well, yeah, but it's a security interest.
So you can't go on there.
Yeah, so it doesn't give us any ownership or any right to, to go in. I mean, it's just the same interest as a bank would have. if
Well, with a
anybody
court,
who's got a mortgage.
who do you need to ask? I mean, this needs to be settled. This needs to be taken care of now. Who can do that? A judge? Can you ask a special
Well,
request?
I know the city, and this isn't my department, but I believe the building commissioner has filed an environmental court action. So I know that's in the works too. So that's something that the building, the city ordinances they've been violated because PR Bingham has not maintained the property. So that's an ordinance violation. So that's one avenue. But the problem we've encountered here is we just don't have the right to go on the property and start maintaining things, and it's just not something we can do as an ARC. So we do have an interest, that's correct, but it's only an interest as a holder of a mortgage, not an ownership interest.
That's a great question. Finish the question. Yeah, you want to ask Mike? I don't know. I don't have an answer to it.
Speaking with Bingham, where's the money that Bingham got from the fire? I mean, I thought that was, or did they get it or anything?
Well, I think that's been settled, yeah. They would, so I know that was a holdup. There was one possible buyer that interfered with a buyer back last year. And so, we've been told that claim has been settled for that building. And that's all I know about that fire loss.
If this proceeds to bankruptcy, will some of that information be discoverable?
I have another question. If we're dealing with an LLC, and you just mentioned the word bankruptcy, is that what they're doing, filing bankruptcy?
No, if they did file bankruptcy, we'd get notice because the ARC is a creditor, so we would get notice of the bankruptcy court. They have not filed bankruptcy. As I said in the statement just here a minute ago, there's the lawsuits put pressure on them. So there are some possible buyers out there, and that's something we'll have to discuss we're back in executive session. You know, are we going to approve, you know, a buyer comes along, wants to buy these properties?
Well, let me just say this. I don't know how we're going to restore the faith of the community and y'all doing bills when something like this is allowed to happen and there's nothing you can do. That beautiful picture up there that gentleman just showed us, what happens if that goes south? There's nothing we can do. We'll just have something up there all tore up or ate up if something falls in. What do you put in place when you're writing these contracts if something doesn't work out?
There's a taxpayer lien, which gives us first standing as far as if there is a bankruptcy in this situation. We put us first in line.
Well, I know that, but I mean about the property and the people.
I understand what you're saying.
I don't know if there's anything an ARC could do.
See, there's people on here
If
watching.
there is something they can do, I would be more than willing to do it. I just don't know what we could do.
Well, I think y'all need to resign and let somebody come up here to know what to do then. That's what I think. Because, now you said, don't start no mess and it won't be none. You said, what could we do? You could resign. That's what you can do.
Yeah. With that lawsuit, that receivership does, if granted, does place it back in our hands, correct? Where we can't lose
The receiver would manage.
Yeah, and at that moment, once that goes through, at that moment, we can have the rights to be able to go legally and it's not receivable. Oh, okay.
So the receiver will probably have some responsibility for straighten it out, but if the receiver has access to funds, it's not too much.
Right.
And that potential problem with the receiver, because normally they would collect rents, whether it's not heck of a lot to collect.
Okay, that's what I was trying to
So
find.
that's a good point. Yeah.
All right.
Why the preferable outcome would be sell a sale of the property.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Hi. You first, then Jeff.
Okay, my name is Kathy Badger, and I'm a citizen and resident of Madison County. I'm also a resident of the city of Anderson. I just can't emphasize what President Crumes is saying. These are people. They are people. You signed a contract which somebody else did not live up to, and now you're waiting forever to file a lawsuit.